this is it. Last pick, ancient civilization.
You know, I really do love Mesopotamia, but I think probably the last one that I'm gonna pick is Rome.
Oh,
You know what?
Start,
It's
man.
just us. We'll be fine. You know, we're co-teachers. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be fine. But I'm gonna pick Rome, okay?
All right. I guess that leaves me with Mesopotamia. We're gonna figure out what the order is, but hey, man, we figured out what we're teaching next year.
I think it's gonna be great. Yeah, this is gonna be great order and everything. You'll really like this a lot, Mr. Smith. I'm thinking so.
Perfect. I'm gonna go sit up,
I'm just
okay?
gonna change something right here real quick,
Yeah.
okay? All right.
Perfect.
I'll see you later.
All right. I'm gonna go sit up. Buckman, are you a... Buckman? Phil, Mr. Buckman, are you good?
You have entered the Upside Down. There's a 3-question exercise that you must submit interactive answers to in order to escape the Upside Down. Beware the Demogorgon.
Beware of the Demogorgon? What's that mean, Buckman? Tell me! Oh my gosh, she turned into a Demogorgon! I gotta lock this door ASAP. Press the string. Can't let that Demogorgon in. I think that should hold. We're good. Gotta teach that first lesson. Before Buckman turned into a Demogorgon, he told me I needed to teach 3 lessons and you guys needed to complete some interactive questions in order to escape the Upside Down. Well, that door should hold for a little bit, so I think we're safe to at least teach 1 lesson here. Let's begin. Reading group. Today we're going to be given 4 different statements on the board. We're going to have to identify which are puns. Then we're going to have to explain why they are a pun. However, before we start that, let's go over what a pun is. The proper definition of a pun is a joke that makes a play on words that sound similar but have different meanings. It can also use different meanings of the same word to make the saying funny. Now, are you ready to go over those statements, identify which are puns, and explain why? Let's do it. Here I have 4 very different statements, and they all mention something ugh. Right here I have 4 very different statements. What we're going to do is we're going to read one at a time. We're going to identify whether it's a pun. If it is, we're going to explain why it's a pun. So, let's start with number 1. The roller coaster scared me. So roller coaster scared me. That's just saying, that's a statement. That's just saying it was scary. Is that a pun, guys? No, no way. Next, let's move to number 2. I was struggling to figure out how lightning works until it struck me. Now, struggling to figure out, and it struck me. Sometimes when you figure out something, you're struck with an idea. So that is using the word properly. However, he was thinking about lightning. And when he came up with this idea, it struck him. So, he's making a joke, or she's making a joke, that not only was they struck with the idea of how lightning works, but they were actually struck by lightning. So that's the pun. This does work. Number 3, after waiting for the bowling alley to open, we finally got the ball rolling. Now, they're waiting for the bowling alley to open, and they got the ball rolling. So ball rolling, that does relate with waiting, because when you're waiting for something and you finally get started, you get the ball rolling, you get going, we're going forward, we're pushing forward. So that does work with waiting. Now, in bowling, your ball actually rolls. So there's the pun. It's not only waiting to get the ball rolling to start, but in bowling, the ball actually rolls. So this is a pun. Now, number 4, when I jumped in the pool, it was cold. Is that a pun, guys? No, that's just another direct statement. There is no joke or saying in there whatsoever. So, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be given 5 questions. And you guys have to answer these. You have to answer which ones are puns and explain why. All right, you got 30 seconds. In 3, 2, 1. Great job, guys. Make sure you get that in a Google email to me, okay? Well, I think I better move on from lesson 1. I need to figure out somewhere to go. I don't think that door is gonna hold that Demogorgon much longer.
Mr. Fitz, do you copy?
Did you hear that? It's the walkie! It sounds like Miss Seifert. Miss Seifert? Miss Seifert, I'm trapped in 6B. Mr. Buckman turned into a Demogorgon and he's trying to break in. I don't know where to go. Where are you?
I'm in the art room.
The art room? Let me go check the window.
Do you see me?
I see, but there's a lot of Demogorgons out there. I think I can make it.
Hey!
Alright, I'm making my move now. Oh no, he broke in! Alright, Miss Seifert, I'm on my way.
In here! Hurry!
I'm coming. Oh no. I was in 6A planning social studies with Mr. Buckman, and all of a sudden, we went into the upside down and he turned into a Demogorgon. I think it's because his mask fell off.
Yeah, I was in the front office and the ladies turned into Demogorgons, and it was all because they weren't wearing the mask.
That must have been the case. So, apparently, if you weren't wearing a mask, you turned into a Demogorgon. Well, he told me before he turned into a Demogorgon, I needed to teach 3 lessons and the students needed to answer interactive questions. Did they tell you the same thing?
Yeah, they did. Let's do it.
I'm down, let's do it. I already taught my first, so this is perfect for our second lesson. Do you want that area? I'll take this area.
Okay, let's go.
Good thing I always carry my portable whiteboard with me. Let's get going. Here, for our second lesson, we will be reviewing oxymorons. We're going to present a few statements on the board, and we're going to determine whether they're an oxymoron. After that, we'll explain why, and then we're going to explain its meaning. But before that, let's review an oxymoron. Let me get my pen out. The proper definition of an oxymoron is a literacy device in which 2 contradictory ideas appear in conjunction to create a poetic effect. Now, it's really important that you remember it comes in an adjective noun form or an adverb adjective form. Now, I think we're ready for those statements and identifying which ones are an oxymoron. Oof. I have a few statements on the board. Let's go ahead and read each of them at a time. My first is seriously funny. Now let's talk about the 2 words. Seriously. That means when you're focused, you're not really goofing around. And now funny. Funny is when you're goofing around and you're having a good time. So seriously funny, those 2 words are contradictory. Now, they contradict each other. But seriously funny does mean something. It means that it's extremely funny, like it's really, really funny. It's a different form of the word seriously. So this is an oxymoron. Now, let's go to super nice. Super is like something's awesome, something's excellent, and nice is kind. Now, they may not be the same thing, but they don't contradict each other. This is just describing that someone's nice. So this is not an oxymoron. Now, open, secret. So when something's open, everyone can go in, there's an entrance, everyone's allowed. Now, a secret is something that maybe 2 friends tell each other or a few friends, and we don't want a lot of people to know. So these 2 things are contradictory. Now, with that said, what open secret means is it's a secret that more than 1 people are able to know, multiple people. So this is an oxymoron. Now, our last one, goofy outfit. Goofy's like silly, Mr. Smith, just like likes to have fun, mess around, and outfit's something you wear. Now, they are completely different. However, they're not opposites. They don't contradict. So it's just describing an outfit. This is not an oxymoron. So this is exactly what you guys are gonna do in a second. However, you're gonna type it in an email and send it to me, okay? All right, in 3, 2, 1. All right, make sure you get that in a Google email and send it to me, okay? Finish with the second lesson. Miss Seaford, don't freak out, but there's a Demogorgon right above you. Let's go.
Okay, thank you.
Where should we go? There's Demogorgons everywhere.
Science lab, science lab.
It's locked. This way. Go, go, go. It's Mr. Kyle. Mr. Kyle, come with us. Hurry, 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 hurry. Shit. What's going on? Why are we running?
Can you tell we're in the upside down, Mr. Cobb?
That's what this is?
We have 3 lessons to teach. We're on our 3rd, right?
We're on our last lesson, so if we finish this one, we can escape the upside down. I'll take this area.
Okay, I'll teach by Liz the iguana.
What should I be doing? Mr. Kyle, you got all the muscles. You need to guard the door, dude. All right, guys, let's get going. We don't have much time. Reading group. For our last lesson, I'm going to introduce a brand new figure of speech. You may have never even heard of it, and it's one of my favorite. It's used in a lot of literature, and it's called a paradox. Now, let me set up the board with some notes about a paradox. The proper definition of a paradox is a form of figure of speech which, when heard or read, can seem to be completely self-contradicting. The statement may seem silly, but in reality contains a truth which seems unreasonable. Now, if you were to just read the first definition, you would think that, hey, this is just like an oxymoron, and you'd be correct. However, it's a statement it's a statement and not so much words together. So it's a full-on sentence. And you're gonna see some examples in a bit. Now, and when it comes to literature, it's used as a literacy device, and it helps the reader or listen think in a more creative way. That's kind of why I like it within literature. Actually, that's why I really like it. It also expresses an idea which is not in line with traditional thinking. So, it could totally help your thinking branch out when you're reading a book. So paradoxes are great. Now, let's set up a few. Here are my 3 examples of a paradox. Now, the first one is an example of it used in a very short sentence. I always lie. Now, think about why is that a paradox? It's contradicting. This one especially. Good. Now, why it is a paradox is he's telling the truth here. I always lie. If he's telling the truth about lying, he doesn't always lie. So, there is some truth to it, and it's pretty creative. However, it does self-contradict, but it is a solution or a conclusion. The next one is, no one goes to that store. It's too busy. Think about that. Why is that contradicting? No one goes to that store. It's too busy. Think about it. Good. If you said there's no way it can be too busy if no one goes, you're correct. However, this is a true statement because some people will not go because it's too busy. It's a figure of speech. All right, our last one is from a novel that we almost read, and we decided not to because a lot of you guys will be reading it in middle school. I'm gonna read it. The animals were all equal. but some were more equal. Take a guess, what book is that from? If you guessed Animal Farm, you are correct. And this message has a lot of underlining meaning to it. I don't want to go dive into it because you will later on, but we can talk about just the premise of it. What does it mean? The animals were all equal. So they're all saying that they're equal, equality, everyone's the same. But then it says some were more equal. That means that some were actually higher above. So there was an equal class above, but then there's a class below that's equal. So this has some truth to it, but it is contradicting. So what you're going to do is, I'm going to present some statements on the board, some sentences that are a paradox for sure. You're going to explain to me why they are. You're going to send that in a Google email. Great job, guys. Get that in a Google email, okay? That ends our lesson. Whew, 3 out of the way. That wraps up our last lesson, but nothing's changed. Wait. Miss Seifert, Mr. Kyle, I think it worked. Guys, we finished teaching our lessons. We're not in the upside down anymore.